Hey there, this is Katherine Cartwright. Welcome to the June 2024 card kit. This is from Stamps of Life. This is called Enjoy the Moment collection. And I'm just going to show you some of the products and then I'm going to get busy making some cards. There's some stickers, some ribbon, some embellishments. There is a paper pad. There's a word die that says Enjoy the Moment. Beautiful font. We've got an A1 oval crisscross card base that I'm going to be working with. There's some envelopes for mailing. There's a storage envelope and then some cardstock. And then, of course, there is a paper pad of patterned paper that is beautiful. And so let me just open this up and I will thumb through these colors. The colors are listed that are used on the pattern paper. They're listed on the paper pad. So if you're familiar with Stamps of Life and you have some cardstock or something, you'd be like, oh, I ran out of this color. You would know what is working with this color palette. So lots of beautiful colors here. And then here I'm going to flip through the paper pad. Again, this is called Enjoy the Moment. It's got a bunch of beautiful flowers. These work with the Lavish Long Stem Flower Shadow Dies. That's the Lavish Long Stems is the club kit this month from Stamps of Life. So if you are a die-hard member, you have the stamps and the dies that you can use with this paper pad, but they coordinate together. And then there's also an additional die set, the Lavish Long Stems 2, that works with the other paper in here, but they're already pre-printed and pre-colored, so you can just die cut those out and get busy making cards. All right, so let's jump right in here. I've got this oval crisscross die. I've done some work off camera because one, this video would be a little too long if I die cut all this. So I'll just talk you through what I'm going to do here. So there's the card base that lets you cut and create all of these little pieces to make the card. So I've cut 4 of them, and you're going to fold them in half, and then I'm going to start gluing the sides together. So I'm going to do one side, and then I'll leave that side open because I want to kind of put them together as a crisscross. So I'm going to glue this together and they should match up perfectly. And then I'm going to take another panel and do the same thing. And then these will come together to create that crisscross effect. Okay, and so I used white for this, and then I'm going to add some patterned paper on there as well. In a second. You can see I've gone ahead and cut some pieces. This one will require 8 pieces of the patterned paper. There are also the dies that are cut in, that will cut in little hearts if you want to, instead of doing that patterned paper. So you have a lot of variety. So you can see that these 2 panels are going to come together to create this crisscross shape. And so I'm going to use some some twine. I'm always using ribbon. I'm going to use a piece of twine and I'm going to put it between one of these layers here. I'm going to take a little piece of tape here. I've got some red line tape. I've even used, in cards like these, I've used just some regular tape, like clear tape. It doesn't have to be, I guess, a double-sided tape because I'm going to use some additional adhesive, but you can. But this just kind of lets you hold that down. So you want to hold this down because I'm going to add something to it. And then I'm going to line my pieces up. And when I'm ready, I can start applying some adhesive. And then I can put the rest of this together. So I'm going to put adhesive on one side here. And I'm going to glue this down. I've got a spot that has not been attached yet. So it's a single layer. And then that's going to go on there. And then I will have the other side left to adhere together. Okay, you just got to find the 2 pieces that have not been glued together, and then you're going to stick them together and you will get that crisscross effect. Okay, so you can see how this has come together, and then it will stand up for your recipient. But I want to put something in the middle of that, and I'll get to that in a second. But I'm just kind of laying out my pieces, deciding if I want to mix the patterns or if I'm going to keep them the same. I'm going to keep them the same. So I've cut out 2 of each from the paper pad. And I'm kind of deciding which one do I want to use, but then I decide I'm going to keep them together. And I'm just going to work my way around, lining these up. They fit perfectly because they're already perfectly cut with the die. So these cards go together pretty quickly. And if you wanted to, you could even cut the card out of pattern paper. The pattern paper is pretty sturdy from Stamps of Life, and you could get a pretty sturdy card out of it. But I definitely wanted to use cardstock just to show off this beautiful paper. Okay, so I'm just going to continue making my way around here using some of this kind of gingham paper. I know it hurts my heart always to cut these papers up because they're so pretty, and then I keep all these little scraps, and I don't always use the scraps, but I think I might use the scraps, so I tend to hold on to them. So it always kind of hurts my heart a little bit to use the paper because even though I have a ton of it, it never seems like I have enough. So anyway, that's just the way it is when you're a crafter. You don't want to really let your paper go. All right, so it's come together nicely. I love the sides. And now I have cut out, there is a little flower die included in this die set. I'm going to trim down the top. I'm going to keep the purple, and I'm going to glue this directly onto the green piece I have cut. So just doing some paper piecing here, putting this back together. And then there is a shadow die, the blue one that I cut. And so I'm going to glue this little flower on there because the stem is pretty delicate. It would be too delicate, I think, to attach it to this piece of twine. And so I like that the shadow has been included because that just gives you a little more room to work with to make sure you get your little piece in the center of this cute card. All right, so I am going to there are these really cute little bright pink pearls in this set this month. So I'm going to take my little pokey tool there and adhere it onto my flower. All right, so now I'm going to take some adhesive. I'm going to use a strong tape here to apply this. You could use like a smaller oval if you wanted to kind of fill that space and then attach your flower to it. But I'm just going to apply my flower directly to my twine and hope that it works out. So I've kind of got it run down the back of it, hoping that it will press into the twine and hold. And then I'm going to take the second piece, the same one, I cut a second piece, and I am going to run that on top of the other one to match it up. And so that way I've got a little more coverage for that string because obviously I don't want that showing in my card. And I'm going to take some more tape here, and then I'm going to run a piece along the twine as well. And it's a little thin. So you could use like some red line tape or just something that's got some good stick to it. You even could use some pieces of foam if you wanted to, because you're layering these two pieces together, the two flowers. I think that would work well because the twine is pretty thick in this card. So you're going to see it kind of stands up a little bit. So foam adhesive would be a good choice too for this kind of application. All right, so I'm going to twist this up and see how we get. We get a nice little spin here. Super, super cute. So I'm happy with that. And then I noticed that there were these really cute stickers, and I thought that high might fit on the back of the flower, and it fits perfectly. So I'm going to fill that up to cover the back of my flower. And there's a sweet little greeting for whomever is the recipient. I'm going to add a couple of these little flowers that are included in the kit. These are some more that I don't really want to use either. Kind of like the paper. I'm like, oh, I have to use those flowers because I love their felt flowers. So that was the first card. All right. So moving on, I've got a background die that I used. I added it to a piece of the yellow pattern paper. I just trimmed it down to match. And then I've cut out the Enjoy the Moment word die. I cut that from a light blue. And then I'm going to use some of these beautiful flowers here. I'm going to glue these directly onto this card base. The background, I should say. I'm going to glue those directly on. They're so bright and cheerful, and they look really good against that yellow patterned. And I know this background die is from Stamps of Life, but I don't recall the name of it off the top of my head, so I'll be sure and link that in the description. And then I found I had this sweet little butterfly from the recent butterfly set that was a club set a few months ago, and I thought that would be really pretty to add in with these gorgeous flowers. It's definitely flower season where I am, lots of butterflies and lots of flowers, so I thought those would work well together. I'm going to add this panel onto my card base, and that will be it for this one. Super, super quick, but very cute. And I'm going to add maybe just a little bit more. I'm thinking about the flowers, and so I'll add a little bit more adhesive on here. I have some glue dots somewhere, but they've been misplaced currently, which I think I have shared before. I have kind of some wandering glue dots. So I'm just going to add one of those flowers on there. All right, so that's that card. Okay, I've got another piece of patterned paper here that I cut in half. So, and I'm going to glue these onto a piece of the Pixie cardstock. So this is 4 by 5 1/4 would be the paper. So I've got a little border on there because my finished card base is going to be 4 1/4. Sorry, this paper is 4 by 5 1/4. The finished card will be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Okay. So I'm just doing a little bit differently in that I'm layering my paper onto this little panel, and that will go onto my finished card base. So I'm going to tie some ribbon across this just to cover a little bit of that seam. It doesn't bother me that bad. Things like that, especially on pattern paper, it's kind of hard to see those things, but just adds a little touch if you want to. So I thought I would just kind of tie that together so you don't see quite the seam. And then I've got this other gorgeous flower here to add on there, and I want to fit one of these sentiments, but I can't decide which one. I really like those little cardstock stickers too. They're super cute. So as I'm making my decisions, I'm going to add some foam to the back of my flower and just popping that up, and then I've got to have a little smaller piece here for the stem. Remove those stickers, and then I can adhere that down to the top. I'm going to stick this in the top left of my card, and then that will just kind of fit in there with the ribbon kind of hanging out there, floating through the air sort of. And then I'm going to choose this hello word sticker to finish that off. And I love that pattern paper at the bottom. It's so pretty. And then I'm going to stick a couple of these sweet little stickers all around, just kind of pulling those color themes together. Maybe put a smaller one there. And then I'm going to add this to my card base, which is just a white card base. I'm going to add a little glue to that ribbon so it sticks down as well. Super, super cute. But there's so much fun patterns and colors in here, and with those flowers being pre-done, it really helps you make a quick card. All right, I've got another piece of gingham here, and I've got one of those little scraps that I told you I saved. And I decided I would use it on this card. So I'm just going to run this on the left side with that beautiful gingham. And I'll tie some ribbon around here too. And I'm just going to knot this one off instead of using a big bow to make it simple, and also to conserve some ribbon because it's really, really pretty. I guess this is probably candy, I think, because it's a pretty bright pink. It's not as bright as guava, which is the brightest pink, I think, from Stamps of Life, although watermelon is a pretty bright pink as well. So I'm just trying to fix my ribbon here. I kind of tied it crooked, and I'm just going to run a little tape there and hopefully can kind of stick that around. And I'll have to add maybe a little glue dot to that to get it to stick down all the way. I didn't tie it quite right. I could have retied it, but I just decided to add some glue to hopefully fix it. Again, I'm going to add some more foam to this one to pop up this sweet little stem. And if you have the Stamps and Dies, if you're a diehard member, a club member, then you've already got these. You could make bunches more of these flowers. I'm using just the pre-printed flowers from the kit, but if you own these and have them at your home, you can make a million more of these, which is so great how it all coordinates together. So I'm going to add one of these little kind of epoxy stickers on there, and I'm going to run that along the right, and then I will glue this onto my card base. Again, putting some glue on that ribbon so it will stick nicely. So fun! I love the size of the flower as well. It really helps you kind of fill your page. And I know that there's a folded, I'm pretty sure that maybe a vase or possibly a flower pot. I think these would look fantastic in that. I wish I had thought of that before I started recording this video. That would have been a fun one to make. Maybe I'll make an additional one with that, but these would look so great in those dies as well. All right, so I've got a few more of these sweet little pearls that I'm going to add to my card to finish this off. And that will take care of this one. So I've got 5 total. This might be the last one. No, I've got one more. Okay. So I'm going to make an easel card. I have cut my cardstock long-wise, and I'm going to score at 5.5 inches. Okay. And so I've got an A2 size card that's 4 1/4 by 5.5, but it is running vertically. Okay. And then I'm going to come back and score at 2 3/4, so half of that card. And then I'm going to trim down some paper here. I'm going to end up making these 2.5 inches wide, and then that pink gingham one is going to be 2 inches. And I'm doing that so that I have a little bit of a border around. So these will be 4 inches wide, and then the height is going to be 2 inches. So that way they fit onto this card, or 2.5, excuse me, 2.5 on here. So I've got a nice little border, that white border going around. And then I'm going to take this other little piece here and add that onto the bottom. So I've just folded that up, and I've got a nice easel card. I love easel cards. They're so quick and easy. And I thought it would look really cute with this big flower as kind of my center piece of it. And I'm just kind of placing that flower, deciding how far up I want it to go. Again, the paper pad is very sturdy. And so you can do something like this with a die cut from them. It's not a thin, you can see it's not a thin cardstock at all. It has a nice heft to it, some good weight. So that allows you to use this as a die cut. All right, I'm going to add another epoxy sticker at the bottom. May your days bloom with joy. And then I'm going to use a little bit more ribbon here. Definitely digging the ribbon this month. And I'm going to tie this off into a pretty little bow. Super, super cute. I will mention that I added a little bit of Stickles glitter glue to the half of the little yellow part of the flower. It's diamond, just to add a little sparkle. You might catch a little bit of that. It's actually, I think, fairly wet when I'm using it right now, so I'm being kind of careful that I don't stick my fingers in it. I didn't want to wait for it to dry. And then I want to finish this card off with some more of these stickers, and I'm just kind of using some more of the components from the card kit. So cute. And then I want to, I'm definitely going to add some little gemstones, those little pearls as well. And so I'm just kind of laying these out, picking some different sizes. I like that there are some big ones, some mediums, and then some small ones. It just kind of helps you create a little scene, so to speak. I definitely wanted it with lots of blooms at the bottom to kind of coordinate with that sentiment. Thought that worked well. Okay, so when I'm satisfied with all my flowers here, I'm going to come back and I'm going to fit these pearls on here. They work really, really well with the flowers, even the little tiny ones. They're pretty big on there, but they actually fit pretty well. So I'm just going to take one of these pearls for each one, and there's a gracious plenty of them. So I've got enough to put on all of my little flowers here to finish that off. So sweet. And then I did have these little bees from Bumblebee, and I've added some Stickles glitter glue to them as well, and they're wet, so that's why I'm also being careful using my tweezers. I rarely use my tweezers. I'm always sticking my fingers and everything, but I decided that this would be a really good application to add them, so I thought these sweet little Bumblebee stamps would work really well with these beautiful flowers. And then I've got to decide which one I want to use. I couldn't decide between the big, the medium, or the small, and I'm going to end up going with the small after it's all said and done. They were all pretty much about the same size. I've got this little flower over here that I have some adhesive on that keeps jumping on my hand, so that's why I keep pulling it off. I put a little bit of adhesive on the back of there. All right, so when I'm satisfied, I'm going to lay that little bumblebee on there. And we've got a fun little easel card. Add a little adhesive to the back of this felt flower and the gemstone. And I've got a cute little stopper for the recipient. And I can write a note above that. All right. So thanks so much for watching. Here's a recap of all the cards. This little crisscross, the A1 crisscross card with that beautiful flower in the center. And then we've got some here with a little extra butterfly and a background die just to kind of jazz that up. And then don't be afraid to, mix your patterns of paper. I love to just cut pattern paper apart and then just kind of piece it back together. You never know what you're going to get. And then finally, here is that little easel card with the sweet little bumblebees. So be sure to leave me a comment. Let me know if you have a favorite card. And let me know if you have any flowers in your garden. I've got flowers growing right now. I've got some dahlias, and they are beautiful, but it's getting hot here, and they're starting to struggle a little bit. So I'm enjoying them while I can. But if you have any questions about the club, I'll leave all the information in there. Drop me a comment. Let me know which card you like the best. And thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.